Thanks, Ray. And hi, everybody. It's me, Nikki Sweeney, and we are back for another episode of our Women in Beekeeping. If you didn't get a chance to tune in last time, this is our mini segment that we're broadcasting during Buzz TV monthly. And it's really just to give a woman's perspective, my perspective on beekeeping and what works for me, what hasn't worked, trial and error, and maybe some fun information here and there. So today we are going to discuss what's in her tool bag. So when it comes to beekeeping, if you're a new beekeeper or you are a tenured beekeeper, when you go online and you are looking for supplies, you're probably going to get overwhelmed with all of the options that are out there. For me, I don't think that it's really, how many tools that you have in your tool bag. I think it's what works for you and having the best tools. So I know that while there's a lot of things that I would love to have in my tool bag, there are a few things that I absolutely have to have every single time I go out for a hive inspection and to check my hives. So I'm going to go over those with you today. Now, I will say I try not to bring all of my stuff in because it's gross and grimy, and I didn't want to scare Brian and Ray out of the studio today. But my gloves are a little disgusting, so always have a good pair of beekeeping gloves. If you don't have them, I would highly recommend that you get them. For me, the fingers are the most sensitive place for me to get a sting. My hands will swell up like crazy, and you can't do much when you've got basically boxing gloves for hands. So always get you a good pair. I actually prefer the mesh gloves just because you get triple layer. You've got a layer of mesh, then you've got this kind of hard rubber in there, and then you've got another layer of mesh as well. Underneath, you've got the goat skin glove, which all of ours at Mountain Sweet Honey are goat skin. They're a little bit different than this, but either which way, have you a good pair of gloves. These are going to go on and up the arm to kind of help protect against any stings. The other thing that you will always catch me in, used to, it wasn't that way, but here recently, the more I get stung on my face, the more I kind of turn into like a mogwai that you feed after midnight, and it's not a pretty scene. So I like to always have a beekeeping veil. So either have the full jacket or have a veil just like this, depending on what you're doing. Sometimes I can just go out in this veil in a long sleeve shirt, and I'm perfectly fine. Now, there are other times when I know that I need a full-on jacket, and that might be during a dearth, such as, a few weeks ago whenever I went out and decided I was going to weed eat, and my bees were not happy, so I was glad that I at least had my jacket on. The next thing that we're going to have is going to be our beetle gels. So if you live here in Georgia or, well, pretty much in the whole United States at this point, I think we've had a really wet year this year. For whatever reason, we've just had so much rain. And hive beetles is a big issue when it comes to my beehives. I'm in a very wooded area. There are different things that you can do to kind of try to prevent them. But beetle gels I have found to be some of the best ways to kind of combat that issue. So I'm always going to bring 2 of them. The reason I bring 2 is we require at least 2 per hive, or we recommend 2 per hive to kind of help with the hive beetle inundation. Normally they're going to go in, they're going to get them nasty. They'll probably put some propolis on them. So I just want to clean them out, and I'll put 2 new ones in there. And the way these are going to work is you've got 3 compartments here, 1 on each side, and then 1 that opens in the middle. So when you get these, you always want to make sure that you are bringing out your mineral oil, or if you've got vegetable oil. Mineral oil is typically recommended just because it works a little bit better, but whatever oil you have is fine by me. You're going to take this oil and you're going to pour it into the 2 side compartments. And then in the middle, you're going to take your apple cider vinegar. You can use, this is just Laura Lynn brand. You can use whatever brand you want, but pour that in the middle. And then you're just going to close these up. Now, when you close these, you're going to put these on your outer frame. So if you have a frame, you're going to put one on this frame, just like that. And then you would do one on the other side of your box as well. By doing that, the apple cider vinegar is going to really entice those hive beetles to come in, and they're going to go down into these little slots, and they will get trapped in that oil, and that kind of helps remedy some of that situation. So you want to go out there probably once every couple weeks, just check and make sure that they're not full of beetles. Trade them out if you need new ones. Just make sure that they're clean and that you're constantly replacing the oil and the apple cider vinegar. The next thing that I would say that I always bring is going to be our smoker. So this is just a standard size smoker. We offer a few different options at Mountain Sweet Honey, but this is really important because at any time that you're getting into your bees, typically depending on the bee, they don't really love it when you're in there near the queen or when they're near the hive, so they tend to be a little bit more temperamental. Not always, but it's always a good idea to just have your smoke ready. So what I use is my smoker, and then I will also I use cotton, just pure 100% cotton. So we do offer this at Mountain Sweet Honey as well. You'll see there's a couple little things in there, and that is because it is just natural cotton. I don't have to worry about chemicals in there. I don't want that inside of my hive. I just want to be able to go in and lightly smoke them. The other good thing about cotton is that it burns really cool. So some of your other smoker fuels that you use can get too hot, and you actually have a chance to singe the wings on your bees, which is not good for them at all. Obviously, that prevents them from being able to fly. It can hurt the hive. So if you can give a little bit cooler smoke, that's what cotton will do for you. And it's simple to use. I just kind of break mine up a little bit so it's not super tight in there so the airflow goes through. Just tuck it down in there, light it up, give it a couple pumps, and then you're ready to go. So always have your smoker with you. Always have some cotton fuel with you. And then I always like to bring an entrance reducer. The only reason I bring one out with me is because I typically use these wooden ones, and over time they just kind of start to deteriorate. That's just normal because it's wood, right? You can't paint them because the bees are going to try to clean it off, and they're using all their energy to clean this versus out foraging. So I just always have an extra one just in case you need to replace the one that you have, depending on the type of or the time of season that it is. And then the final tool that I typically have, or not the final, I'm sorry, I've got two more. This one and one more after that. So this is my J-hook hive tool. So I use this hive tool more than any other hive tool out there. I don't know why this one just seems to work better for me. I really like on the edges here, it's really sharp. So if you've got propolis buildup in your frames, you can kind of crack and break that apart. That kind of just cuts right through that. So it's really good for propolis and for, like I said, tearing those frames apart. And then as you're going in with your frame, so if you go in to grab your frame, it's got this little ledge here. So you can kind of use it as leverage to wedge your frame up out of there while you grab it instead of having to wedge it up, grab it, pull it back. This one to me seems to work a little bit better. So this is our J-hook tool. Like I said, that just is going to go in there and wedge. We hired a couple new people in our office, and we've been doing kind of a product teach one. And Natalie was the one that actually was working on this tool the other day, and she found some cool information where beekeepers will actually sharpen these edges up a lot more and use them as almost like a blade. So if you're out by your beehive and you've got limbs or twigs or something like that that's kind of in the way or hindering your beehive, the entrance, you can actually go in and use this almost like a hatchet or a little saw. So I thought that was pretty neat, something I had never thought about, but it makes perfect sense. So always have you a tool. I would recommend get you at least two of these. I lose my tool more than anything in the world. I don't know how. I put it in my back pocket and it falls into the abyss, and then I have to pull out another one. So one or two of these is always recommended. And then the final thing that I typically have is going to be sugar water. I have my water because I was thirsty this morning. My bees are going to be upset I forgot their sugar water, which is the one thing that I would normally always have with me. It's always good to have just so if you need to refill your Boardman, if you're using a Boardman feeder or your deep feeder. I personally use the top feeders. We'll go over those in another segment. But just always make sure that you've got your sugar water based on the season that you're doing, whether it be 1-to-1 or 2-to-1, whatever that may be. But always have some sort of food source for your bees. And I think that's it as far as all of our products go or all of my tools go. I'd love to hear what you guys have in your toolbox. So if there's something that I didn't mention here today, but you think that it's the thing that you have to have every single time that you go out, would you share that with me and just let me know? Because I'm constantly learning, and it's always great to just bring back, what I learned to our team and just to hear, the different interesting things that work for you guys. And don't forget, I am also still taking ideas. So if you have an idea for an upcoming Women in Beekeeping show that you'd like to learn more about or hear more about, give me a call or email it over would even actually be better. If you can just send that to Nikki, Nikki, at mountainsweethoney.com. And hopefully we can get that on the next segment. I plan to be in studio live for our October 2nd Buzz TV, so I'm really excited about that. And we'll just plan on seeing you then. Bye.